When Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit was released, it was called the Louie Louie of the 90s, hearkening back to the catchy riff and inscrutable lyrics of the Kingsmen's rocker from the 60s. Like that classic, the lyrics were hard to understand, so much so that record promoters were getting pushback from radio stations at first, because nobody knew what the heck Kurt Cobain was singing about. But it didn't matter, because the spirit of the song was undeniable. And in fact, the obscurity of the lyrical intent did nothing but make legions of instant fans feel like the song was personal to them. When Kurt Cobain sang, "Here We Are Now, Entertain Us," he couldn't have known how many people the world over would respond to his brand of cynical sensitivity. But that's what happened when the song was released on their second album, Nevermind, in 1991. It was the song that took over completely, made what other high-profile rock bands were doing at the time seem totally lame, and it brought the sound of grunge to the mainstream. A moment on the rock timeline that can't be overstated enough as being totally pivotal. A cultural shift put to music by a three-piece band from the Pacific Northwest. A song about rebellious boredom that ignited an entire generation of new rock fans. Inadvertently named after a brand of deodorant. Let's get into Smells Like Teen Spirit in this episode of the Behind the Song podcast. And if you like it, give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Let us know in the comments. To fully understand why Smells Like Teen Spirit had the impact that it did, we have to take a look at what was going on back in the early 90s. It was a time of transition, out of the confidence and swagger of the 80s me generation and into a new era, with all those latchkey kids born in Generation X having grown up, now in their late teens and early 20s. The exuberance of the 80s felt different to this generation, who, by and large, grew disillusioned with the superficiality of the 80s and how that extended into their own family unit and their future prospects for life in general. The term angst is often paired with mentions of Generation X, and for good reason. This generation saw through the cracks in the yellow brick road, so to speak, and was craving something more real, more raw, more jagged. None felt the blow of Kurt Cobain's musical hammer more than the hair metal bands, which had enjoyed a heck of a run in the 80s. All that posturing and excess felt less cool, felt more and more out of touch to the new generation of rock fans. Smells Like Teen Spirit arrived like an antidote to all that, with an unfiltered expression of energy and frustration. It defined an entire generation. Part of the magic of the song is how the band built the contrast of dynamics with the music. Loud, soft, loud. Quiet verses that explode into the chorus, something that Nirvana would employ to great use in this song and others, inspired, as Kurt Cobain said, by the band The Pixies. That formula, with Nirvana, became anthemic. Melodic, brooding intensity that erupts into a cathartic chorus and then quietly goes back to the verse again. Smells Like Teen Spirit is kind of a masterpiece of contrasts, a simple formula for the sound driven by Kurt Cobain's distorted guitar, Dave Grohl's ferocious drumming, and Chris Novoselic's steady bass line. Just three guys hammering away at the sound of a generation. Besides being compared to Louie Louie, the main chord progression of Smells Like Teen Spirit has often been said to have a passing resemblance to Boston's More Than a Feeling, something that Nirvana never really disputed. And in fact, Kurt led the band in playing parts of the Boston song in concert at times, in keeping with another word often attributed to Generation X, irony. And therein lies the secret about Kurt Cobain. Even though he was anti-establishment, anti-corporate, and anti-commercial, famously contrarian in the press and in his own life, seemingly embarrassed to become the big rock star that he always dreamed of being, he was as interested in a great melody as any of the best songwriters in rock. And he knew a catchy riff when he heard one. So, what did Tom Scholz of Boston think about it? He said in a 1994 interview that he took it as a compliment, even if it was accidental. Now, about those lyrics. It's best to think of the lyrics of Smells Like Teen Spirit as a kind of impressionist painting, with the details less important than the overall sense that the song relays. Restlessness, apathy, disillusion, and rebellion. A fragmented rejection of the norms. It starts like this. Load up on guns, bring your friends. It's fun to lose and to pretend. She's overboard and self-assured. Oh no, I know a dirty word. Hello, 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 how low. That the song starts with a lyric about guns tells you everything you need to know about Cobain's obsession with them. The very thing that would bring on his demise at age 27. It's a weird way to start a song, to be sure. But from the moment the song starts, you knew you were in for something different than your average rock song. Part of its draw. The she being referenced in the first verse of Smells Like Teen Spirit here is Toby Vale, Cobain's girlfriend at the time. Feminist, activist, and drummer for the band Bikini Kill. A Pacific Northwest indie rock riot girl queen from the scene in Olympia, Washington. A scene and a girl that Cobain was totally infatuated with. The title line of the song comes from Vale's bandmate, Kathleen Hanna, who wrote Kurt Smells Like Teen Spirit on his bedroom wall as a way of poking fun at Cobain for making out with Vale, who used Teen Spirit deodorant, a new brand at the time, marketed to teenagers with scents like Pop Star and Pink Crush. I mean, it's kind of fitting and, yes, ironic that the title of a Gen X anthem like this should come from a girl making fun of her friends for making out while the scent of a mass-marketed deodorant with a funny name lingers in the air. It's been said that Cobain was unaware of the deodorant brand and interpreted the line as just something that sounded cool and rebellious. Did Teen Spirit deodorant enjoy a rise in sales after the release of this song? You betcha. Now on to the chorus. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. A mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, my libido. Here we are now, entertain us. Ambiguous, sure, but so right on, almost like a threat. And open to the interpretation of each and every ear that listens to the song, the way all great art is. These lyrics are some of the most misheard in rock. When Cobain sings a mulatto, an albino, a mosquito, my libido, he somehow boiled together imagery of black, white, a pest, and a sex drive into a lyrical rhyme that, even if you could understand what he was singing, would do little more than paint restless pictures in your mind. Smells Like Teen Spirit isn't really about the lyrics. It's all about the feeling. And the next verse goes like this. I'm worse at what I do best, and for this gift I feel blessed. Our little group has always been and always will until the end. Hello, 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 how low. The hive mind of alienated youth, that feeling that one might stay the same with the same friends forever until the end. Written that way, but sang with a sort of wary foreboding. Gen X gold. The chorus repeats, and the next verse contains the lyric that the album is named after. And I forget just why I taste. Oh yeah, I guess it makes me smile. I found it hard, it's hard to find. Oh well, whatever, never mind. When Cobain sang Whatever, Never Mind, he couldn't have known how much that dismissive phrase would resonate with kids who had said the same thing in a passive-aggressive way over and over to their parents, to their teachers, and to each other. It's a phrase that one might find in the dictionary definition next to people born between the mid-'60s and the early '80s, a group who over time have become known as the Forgotten Generation. But this song, this anthem, will never be forgotten. In and of itself, an irony of the highest sort. The song ends with the explosive chorus, and then Cobain sings a denial repeatedly, almost like an expression of anger that has nowhere to go. He himself admitted that the lyrics were cobbled together from different ideas and phrases, again, like a painting that you can't quite make sense of, but also can't forget. That ambiguity is its power. It's what lets you project your own feelings onto the lyrics, and it's what makes it feel so personal. Nobody knew what the lyrics of Smells Like Teen Spirit were when the song came out. Not least because only fragments of the lyrics appear on the original album's liner notes. And MTV even had a version made for the song's incredible video with the lyrics imposed over it. Directed by Samuel Bayer, the video shows a totally chaotic high school pep rally, complete with anarchist cheerleaders, a janitor pushing a mop, and a mosh pit forming as the band played the song. It was a brilliant companion piece, and was one of the reasons this song is one of the highest-selling singles of all time. Nobody was cooler than Nirvana after that. The cover of Nevermind is still the subject of an ongoing lawsuit brought on by the naked baby floating in the pool, swimming after $1 on a fishhook. That baby, Spencer Eldon, now in his 30s, filed a sexual exploitation lawsuit against it, which was dismissed and then reinstated in court. The claim is that it harmed his reputation, as he is forever known now as the naked baby. His parents were art school friends with the photographer Kurt Weddle, who agreed to the photo for the photo shoot in exchange for compensation. Without a doubt, it is one of the most iconic album covers of all time. Smells Like Teen Spirit and the Nevermind album did more to speak for a generation of people than most works of art, let alone popular music. It's a singular event, a cultural phenomenon that gave voice to young people that felt misunderstood and alienated. It proved that raw, sensitive music could have a far-reaching effect and be commercially successful, much to Cobain's dismay. And it inspired countless other bands to take the polish off of what they were doing musically. After the Nevermind album was released, grunge took over. Supermodels started wearing flannel on the catwalks. Everybody wanted in, and so, grunge flamed out. The true essence of this kind of music is as isolationist as the city that birthed it, Seattle, surrounded by water and mountains, at the farthest edge, in its own corner. When grunge got out of its corner, it wouldn't be long until the copycats would dilute its authenticity, water down that essence that Cobain was able to tap into, put his finger on the pulse of, and scream about. But what a visceral moment on the rock timeline, and a song that will always be a part of the forgotten generation. Are there other songs from this era that come close to summing up the hive mind of Generation X? Something to think about. Until next time. I'm Janda, and this has been Behind the Song. If you like this episode, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Special thanks as always to Christian Lane for the music you hear on these podcast episodes. You can find me on the air at 97.1 FM The Drive in Chicago and at WDRV.FM. On the way, much more classic rock and roll.